restless, speechless. I am lost for words, but I kept.
Okay, y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is Trisha with That More Than Words. So what you just saw right there was a reaction that my friend Deshawn and I at Wise Reacts, that's WISEREATZ. Go check out his channel, give him a follow, a like, a subscribe, and also go ahead and like, follow, and subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and share this video. So I'm just doing a short intro. We went ahead and reacted to Jessie Lee Peterson's interview of a couple of students that belong to the Black Student Union. Jessie Lee Peterson had a lot to say about Beyonce's Super Bowl performance, where she wore some type of Black Panther-esque clothing, an outfit costume, and it kind of ruffled some feathers. And Jessie Lee Peterson had a few things to say about her performance, and it kind of ruffled the feathers of these two that he interviewed. So this is Deshawn at Wise Reacts and my reaction to that video. Go ahead and stick out till the end of it, watch the whole video. And at the end, again, before you even watch the video, you can go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. But let us know what you think about this video. If you enjoy us back and forth doing this, go ahead and comment below. Let us know if you want to go ahead and see some more of us reacting to videos like this. So without further ado, here is Jessie Lee Peterson's interview with these kids from the Black Student Union. Let's check it out.
Speechless, I am lost for words, but I kept my nerve.
Welcome to the Fallen State TV. I am Jessie Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. I absolutely appreciate it. I did a YouTube video, a commentary on Beyonce during the halftime of the Super Bowl. It was one of the most evil things I've seen happen in a public way. And I received a phone call from the Black Student Union at Trade Tech College here in Los Angeles, wanting to talk with me about my YouTube video. I have with me tonight Andre Shirley. Also, Michelle Watson is here, and we want to have an open and honest discussion about Beyonce and the whole race issue. Andre goes to school at Trade Tech, and Michelle is a community activist. Do you work with Black Lives Matter or the Black Student Union, or both?
Both.
Both?
Both, and also the Los Angeles Black Workers Center.
Oh,
They do
okay.
not look happy.
What do you guys disagree with me about?
Let's go down the list. Well, let's start off with how you described Beyonce and her performance. When you said that white people should have gotten up and walked away.
Why? Why is that a problem?
Race relations is something that needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed. It has held this country back and held my people back for far too long. And until we can, as a society, sit down and understand what's plaguing us, we will never be able to move forward, ever.
But she wasn't talking about it at the football game.
Can
No,
we stop
she
with the
was bringing-
victimhood Olympics? That's what's actually stopping us from moving forward. It's not, white people. It's people like this guy and his victimhood mindset. It's ridiculous to me.
But what exactly are they talking about? The Super Bowl performance where she was dressed in the,
I believe all black, and they had the Black Panther. I
with
guess
the
it was like
chest
that
up,
Black
like a Michael
Panther.
Jackson-esque
Yeah.
type of.
Yep.
And so Jessie Lee Peterson is saying people should have walked out because of that?
Well, he's saying
Like-
that white people should have walked out because of it. But let's keep going. Let's see what else he has to say.
I don't understand what that has to do with it. All right, go ahead.
Attention to the fact that there is lack of value on Black lives
But
here
most
in America.
people, when they go to the Super Bowl, they're taking their families, their kids are with them.
Yes.
They want to go there and just have fun. They don't want to
Yes.
hear black people complaining about so-called racism at a football game.
Honestly,
if
I don't know if
Beyonce-
they're taking families to these Super Bowls. I mean, the tickets are $10,000. I'm not taking my kids to no Super Bowl. A whole family, you're talking $40,000, $50,000 to go to a Super
Watch it
Bowl.
on TV. Have a Super
Absolutely.
Bowl watch party with a
Yeah,
giant
absolutely.
screen. You'll be just fine. There's no reason for $10,000 tickets. But again, I'm still trying to understand the correlation between Beyonce and Black Lives Matter and the Super Bowl and offending white people. I'm not tracking. So I guess I have to continue watching.
Yeah,
to
let's keep
see
going.
where-
Say wanted to talk about it, she should have called together a meeting and say, hey, I'd like to bring everybody together and let's have a discussion about so-called racism in America.
Racism
Don't you
is
think?
not
Have
private.
we asked for this
I'm sorry?
conversation? How many times have we asked for a conversation about race relations? I have a dream that one day my children will be judged by the content
But
of
black
their
people been
How
talking
many
about racism for
times
50
did
years or so.
Harriet Tubman have to constantly go back before a conversation? We are at a point in society where us as young people, we're tired of seeing it.
Seeing
We're
what?
tired of hearing. I'm tired of walking down the street in my hoodie and being afraid because I just saw a police officer.
Stop it, bro. Can you stop
I
that?
don't think that's happening to him.
That's so disingenuous. I wear a hoodie every day. I had a hoodie on today. Wasn't afraid at all. Wasn't afraid at all. Matter of fact, I had a multitude of white people say what's up to me on my way to the gym, walking in and walking out. I, this is
I mean,
ridiculous.
but gym wear, most people wear a hoodie in the gym. You put your headphones
Exactly.
on, you put your hoodie
Headphone
on
on.
because
Exactly.
you don't want to be bothered. But I don't think he's walking in his neighborhood and walk past a cop and
Seriously. And he's
feeling
afraid.
afraid. He's,
Deathly afraid. Really? Really? Come on,
but I
bro.
want to hear from Jesse Lee Peterson. I don't hear anything that's like shocking yet. So why?
Not being
I don't. I don't know what's going on.
afraid because there's some people down on the corner that I don't know. Not being afraid because my next door neighbor is always in his garage. I don't know what he's doing. But being afraid because the people who are charged to protect and serve my life, people who are taking my tax dollars to have a job to protect and
So
serve
tell
my
me about
life.
Beyonce. Let me ask you about Beyonce. Beyonce is 34 years old.
Yes.
She's married.
Yes.
She has a daughter.
Yes.
And
Isn't
first
he
of all,
beautiful?
she out doing this booty dance, half naked, dressed in black, looking like a thug.
What?
Is that a
Wait a minute. So dressing in black makes you a thug? Because I
I think
know
he
I
went
have a
down the
white
list.
friend, I have a Caucasian female, let me be politically correct, who wears black all the time. Her and her fiance love black. That's their favorite color. Marilyn Manson wears black a lot too. He's white. So is he a
Yeah,
thug?
I don't think the color black or rocking black. I'm a big fan of it as well. I don't think it makes
Yeah,
you.
I love wearing black a lot. It's just a nice color.
Now, but I will say, she's married. She has a daughter. She on not just a national platform, but a worldwide platform,
Mhm.
shaking her behind, wearing suggestive type clothing. Probably not a good look, for younger people, younger women to look up to. I understand she's an entertainer and everything, but there's still a way that you should conduct yourself, as a wife, as a mother. She's
But if
definitely
her husband doesn't have a problem with it, then who are we to say anything about it? He obviously doesn't care what she's wearing. And if I'm not mistaken, she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes for the community. So should it matter when she's performing that she's wearing performance clothing like Taylor Swift does, because she wears revealing things too. Rihanna does it, Madonna does it. Does it
well,
matter what they're doing on the stage because that's still a performance, but
it
in their
is a
everyday
performance, and
life?
I would agree with you there. But at the same time, you're still setting an example. So
Yeah,
just
you're
because
what
just
she's
because
doing
a
behind
few
the
other
scenes.
people do it that are all a part of this entertainment world, just because they do it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, but it's just that it's entertainment. Behind the scenes, it's what she's doing with her money, with her influence. She's helping and build community centers. I think she's done stuff in Houston where she goes back and gives back a lot to the community. I don't think those people there are like, oh my God, Beyonce can't come here because we saw her ass on the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
definitely
No,
not.
they don't care. Yeah. So anyway,
good example for, and I'll ask you this, Michelle, is that a good example for other young girls? And should a married mother act that way in public?
That's where I was going with it.
Beyonce
I get it.
is a woman, and women have sexuality and femininity, right? And so that's where the style comes from. If it's okay with her husband, then it's no one should ever have anything to say.
Is she a good example for other young girls to see an older woman acting that way?
Yes.
That is a good example.
Yes, because that's not their status. They know you are from a baby, a child, a little girl, a teenager. They're not a woman, right? And they know that. But just because they see a woman in its full manifestation doesn't mean that it'll negatively affect them.
Would you want your mother out doing the hoochie mama dance, half naked?
Is he being provocative on purpose? Does he always do this? Because I'll
This is
say this,
definitely
and
him.
Beyonce's most recent concert, the Renaissance tour, which I did not see the movie and I did not go to the concert. I do like Beyonce, but I'm not a fanatic to the point where I'm going to spend all that money to go see her. One thing I did appreciate when she had Blue Ivy on the tour with her, she was dressed age appropriate.
Accordingly, yeah.
Important, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think growing up in that entertainment arena and Beyonce projecting this image of Sasha Fierce onto the screen and the public, I think her daughter knows this is an act. This is a performance, but my mom doesn't do this in real life, in her everyday life. But she is raising her daughter to be very respectful of her body. And if she makes a choice after the age of 18 to say, hey, I might want to wear a bathing suit and do some type of dance and, talk about surfboards and stuff like that, she can do that when she's of age. But she's still very age appropriate right now in her attire.
Yeah, but would you not agree that in our community, a lot of our young girls are looking up to people such as Beyonce, Rihanna, obviously Taylor Swift, in
Mhm.
some of the other communities out there, and they're looking at them and saying, "Hey, she's married, she's this," and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Well, if her husband doesn't mind, but what about the young girls that are looking up to her that will go to school dressed like that? They ain't performing."
There's
Now
no
I know
young
that you got to
girl.
blame the parents and you got to say the parents are, responsible,
Yeah.
but these are the people that are being plastered in our faces, and our young girls are looking up to these people. Do you not think there's some form of responsibility that they have to carry themselves and conduct themselves, in a proper manner?
I think in her everyday life, yes. Again, she is performing. When you put on a performance, that's exactly what it is. That's not her in her everyday life. Have you ever seen Beyonce when she's doing an interview? I mean, she rarely does interviews, but when she's out on the red carpet or during an interview, does she wear the booty out stuff?
I can't say that I've seen her, but I also don't follow
Yeah, I
Beyonce
mean, I
like
don't
that.
follow her that much
But
either,
what I
but
will say is that most people probably don't see her in that way. What they do see is her performance, her show. So the only thing that you really get is the interview, and I'm sorry, not the interview, but the videos that she does and whatever live performances she has. That's the image that has been presented of Beyonce. Like what you mentioned about what she's doing in Houston, I never heard that. That's not even something that's promoted like that. It should be, but it's not. But they do promote her twerking and dancing and doing all these types of things, these suggestive moves. That's what's being promoted. And that's what we have a lot of our young people are seeing. Very similar to when they talk about the athletes and they hold these athletes. Every time they get in trouble, they want to hold them and say, hey, this person is an idol. This person, young people are looking up to them. Do we not hold these young ladies to the same standard that they hold these young men, these athletes, when they go out here and get in trouble, fight, carrying on, or multiple baby mamas, all this other kind of
but
stuff?
that's a different. Listen to what you just said. If you have an athlete running around being promiscuous and impregnating 5 women at the same time, you cannot compare that to a performer dressing in some suggestive clothing and doing a suggestive dance on stage when she is married and faithful to her husband. He's the one that cheated, but that's a different story.
Well, I
She's
mean, there's
faithful
been
to him.
rumors that she has too, and she wrote a song about it. But
I don't know about
let's
that.
let's let's keep the video going.
I didn't hear anything about that,
That's in
Deshaun.
black. Where the
You heard about the bodyguard. You heard about the bodyguard. No, 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 no. Well, she was talking about, the fight Jay-Z
In the
when they found out
elevator.
that he
Yeah.
was cheating. But there's been yeah,
Yeah.
but there's been rumors, of Beyonce with the bodyguard. It's been out there. It just didn't. It
I've
just
never
didn't.
heard that.
It's out there.
I've
It's out
never
there.
heard that.
And I don't even follow Beyonce like that, but that rumor has been out there. The same as the only difference is when Jay does it or when a man does it, it's gonna get plastered. When it's on the other end, it doesn't get the same
I
type
don't even
of
recall that happening. All I know
yeah,
is Jay-Z wrote a whole album about it, apologizing and
yeah, he did.
apologizing to his daughter as well because he
Yeah, of
did mess
course.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and
I'm
her
not knocking
Lemonade
that.
album was her response to what he was doing. That's why she said, "Me and my baby gonna be all right. We're gonna live a good life. We don't need your money. Get the hell in." All right.
world is looking at her?
Everyone is entitled to a good time.
No. But would you want your mother to do that?
I would.
Hold on a minute. Would you want your mother to do that?
To have fun in a black dress
No, you're
and
not.
on national television.
Half naked doing the hoochie mama dance.
Beyonce was not half naked.
Yes, you are. But you didn't answer the question. Would you want your mother doing that?
First of all, my
Depends on
mom
how old
can't
she
do that. Her
is.
knees are bad.
Yeah, it does. So, in my opinion, so hey,
So would you want your 34-year-old mother doing that?
why not? Like I said, everyone is entitled to their expression of themselves.
Is that a
She's
yes or
not
no?
just yes. It's a yes.
That's a yes?
It's a yes.
You would want your mother doing that?
It's a yeah. My 34-year-old mother, yes. It's in the self-expression.
What is it that she's trying to express?
She's trying to express, for one, the powerfulness of the Black woman and the
Really?
Black movement
But that's
and
not
how she's in
power to go out
solidarity.
and hoochie
Really?
mama
That's
dance.
power? That's power.
I
That
didn't
wasn't
hear-
that wasn't a good answer.
I know. I was gonna say, how is that powering the Black woman? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
think Black women are overly sexualized anyway in
Exactly.
this country. I get
They
that,
are, but
and
in
it's
more
been
cases than not, they're kind of over sexualizing themselves.
all the time. You think all
I
Black
said I
women?
said more cases than not. I mean, right now, if let's go back 20 years, 25 years during the video vixen era, when videos were really a big thing. I know people that are in the hip hop industry. I know people. They were not going out begging women to be in these interviews doing what they were doing, or I'm sorry, in these videos doing what they were doing. They were lined up sometimes around the building to
Yeah,
be a
they wanted
part
to
of
be
these
in the video.
interviews. Exactly.
They wanted some
Willing
little
willing to
fame.
do anything to get in these videos.
Mhm.
So I understand where they'll use the content and they'll sexualize. And then they'll blame and say, well, the men are sexualizing us. Now, how many Instagram pages do we have of there ain't no man? They're typically you got women at work, you got women in doctors' offices,
Mhm.
they're all over the place. There ain't no man holding that camera. She done prop that camera up. Most of them walking around with a daggone tripod in their purse.
And
They'll prop it up.
I agree with that because I feel a lot of times that some women, right? Some women feel like I have to do what the masses are doing in order to get seen because it's perceived by them that this is what men want. Because a lot of times you see these guys always talking about the big booty girls with the BBLs and all this other stuff, and that's who they're going after. So
True.
there's a lot of young women who might have self-esteem issues and feel like, hey, I need to do this too in order to get seen and chosen by some man, but they don't realize that you don't have to do that. But if
No.
that's what they see all the time that the men are going for, they're going to feel like they have to do that to compete.
Well, I mean, I think they're competing with themselves. Women are competing not because men are saying that we want these things. If you do a poll right now, you could probably go into DC and do a poll if they would prefer,
Mhm.
a woman that covers up and carries herself a certain way in comparison to a chick that goes out with, like he said, hoochie mama clothes on. Almost every man will tell you that my woman, I need her to be covered and carry herself in a certain
In a
way.
certain way, I get it because
A large majority.
there was an interview I saw on Instagram where this young man was asking a bunch of women if they thought the guy would like a natural body versus a
I've
BBL.
seen that. Yeah,
99% of the women said BBL. And when he turned around and interviewed the guys, 99% of the men said a natural body. So
exactly.
again, it's the perception that
Yeah,
these
but
young women have that these men want
who's
a
putting the
BBL.
perception out there? It's other women. It's not, there's not a man out there saying, hey, we want BBLs and we want lace fronts. We're not that.
And the
One of
lashes.
my cousins in the lashes. We can't stand it. Most of us. One of my cousins, or my cousin-in-law, my wife's cousin, works at a school in PG County. They got elementary school kids coming to school with lashes and lace fronts on.
Well, that's the parents' fault.
It is, but what I'm saying is that who are the parents? I'm sure that young girl's dad, he ain't nowhere to be found,
Mm,
and that's mama allowing that to
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So it's not the men that are actually doing this; it's the women that are, in my opinion, in this day and age. Maybe you'd have said 30, 40 years ago when more people had control. There were a certain sect of people that actually had control of the masses getting a hold of certain content. In this day and age, the women are competing amongst themselves and they're saying that men want something. They don't even talk to us about what we actually like and want. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Naked.
We can
There's
keep it
no
real.
power in that. That's a weakness.
What is a hoochie
Women are
mama
doing
dance?
that in bars and clubs every day and night. Don't you think?
Showing one's physical beauty
Dance
is a weakness.
is a part of art.
But not half naked in the public.
Yeah.
Let me ask
I
you
mean,
this. Beyonce,
yeah. And the thing is, when she said dance is a part of art, it is ballet, tap. When it is twerking an art,
So I will say, can I say this though? I think in every generation, we have something that's going to be considered risque. When Josephine Baker first was on the scene with the flapper era, people thought that was risque the way she used to dress because they were used to women in the 1800s covering up. If you
Yeah,
showed your ankles, it was a big
that
deal.
was a big deal.
Then the skirts became shorter, and if you showed anything above the knees, it was risque. So I feel like every generation there's going to be something that's going to be shock value to the mainstream media or the public.
So what's
While
next? So for us, what's next? When
it
when
might go back,
when do
it might
we
go
as the
back to the.
people set a standard and say, you know what, we ain't no, that ain't it.
But it's going back. You notice nowadays it's more of the baggy clothing. They're going back to the 90s where it was midriff, baggy pants. Not everybody's wearing the tight pants anymore. For the majority of my daughter's friends, she's 20, who I see they're wearing the loose clothing again. They're going back to that era because everything has a tipping point. It's going to go this way and then it's going to always come back. It's cyclical. It always happens.
I mean, I guess to an extent, although, I have a high school kid, I've gone to some of these games.
I've
And
seen
the
it. Yeah, with
things
my
that I
daughter.
see at these
Yeah.
games in this generation, this past season. Matter of fact, I'm at high schools all the time.
Yeah.
And the things that I see, it just makes you shake your head like, who? I don't have daughters. So, I guess I would be a little different. If I had a daughter, I just wouldn't allow certain things. But it just makes me, first off, who bought the outfit?
It's the school and the parents. And,
And the schools are allowing this to happen as well.
because when
But
people tried to
then,
bring uniforms back, they were like,
oh, people
"Oh,
fought the
they need to
uniform.
express
Now, I
themselves,"
was one
and
of those kind of people too. I'm not gonna lie to you. I fought the uniform too, not because the whole expression thing. It was just an extra expense because now I got to buy a uniform, and then I also got to. If we want to do something after school, now you got to come home, change clothes. Now I'm buying 2 sets of clothes because you still need regular gear.
it's less than going out and spending for those outfits and everything else that goes with the outfit. Because my daughter went to private school up until 5th grade, and it was not expensive because you go, you can wear the same shirt, you wash it, you buy a couple shirts, and it lasts you for the whole school year. But these girls are going to Sheen and they're going to Fashion Nova. Fashion Nova is not cheap. They're going to Forever 21 to buy a different outfit each day and wasting time in the mirror when they could just throw on a uniform and be done. And then it leaves you to study, not to watch who has what
I
on.
would
And
agree with that.
yeah, but all right.
They promoted Black Lives Matter. We all know that Black Lives Matter is an agitative, evil group of people who can care less about black people.
We do not
She
all know
also,
that.
let me finish,
I'm
and then
not
I'll let you
saying that
respond.
can we
She
not establish
also
that as a
promoted,
fact, though?
hold on, I'll let you respond. She also promoted the Black Panther Party, and we know that Black Panthers promoted killing cops, and they killed at least 2 police officers that I'm aware of. And in Chicago,
Does he have his
black
hand
people
raised?
were afraid of the Black
I
Panthers
think he
during those
has the
days
fist
because they
up.
were so radical.
Oh, is
She
that the
also
fist up?
I think
promoted
so.
Malcolm X
Oh,
Yep.
at a Super Bowl
that's the fist. Okay.
game. And you guys are okay with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask
yes,
this then.
promote my people.
Next year, I'm asking the KKK to go and perform a cross burning, dressed in hoods, white sheets and hoods at the Super Bowl
Now,
halftime. Are you okay with that too?
We live in America where you have freedom of speech. If that's the idiocracy you want to promote, then
So you would be
you'll
okay
feel
with
free
that,
to
right?
do that. I would personally be a part of the crowd that's protesting it. As you said, white
But
people
should-
should have gotten up and walked out on Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar's performances. I would be that black person that would bring that protest to your front door
Why?
and ask you
Why? If,
how
if
as
Beyonce
a
can
black
promote-
person could you promote an organization that judged your ancestors on the color of their skin and not the content of their character, never even
okay,
asked them
can
a
I
simple
say
question?
something? For one, I'm tired of people quoting Martin Luther
Martin
King.
Luther King.
I really am. That's one. Second, Jesse Lee Peterson is his name. I know he's not sitting there trying to compare the Black Panther Party with the KKK because the Black Panther Party did not go and terrorize neighborhoods across the United States and drag people out of their homes or castrate them or burn them and have parties and watching white people get burned. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to compare a party that was started to try to promote what after school stuff and feed kids in their community and fight against racism that was being done to them. We can't compare the two. There's no comparison. So
I don't think he was comparing. I think he's
he
just
kind of was.
giving
He was
an
saying,
alternative to,
no,
hey,
he was.
we're gonna have a Black Panther type dance or showcase in comparison to, okay, and I think maybe he went too radical with the
Okay.
KKK. But let's say, for instance, it was maybe something else on the other end of that spectrum.
Mhm.
Folks would feel a certain kind of way about it. I
No, you got to
personally,
compare apples to apples, though. You can't bring KKK and Black Panther Party as if they're same.
no,
Because when,
and I agree with you there.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't think it's
confused
a
by that.
fair comparison. I think he's also, trying to be a little more,
He's
I guess,
provocative.
yeah, provocative and sensationalize
Yeah.
this particular situation. I don't know if that's a fair. It's not a fair comparison.
Mm-mm,
KKK to the Black Panther Party. It's
at
not.
all.
But because they were solely black, put them in chains and
All
make
right.
them work on a field.
The
And these are the
KKK
people
didn't do
you.
that.
The KKK is a terrorist group, and it's the longest standing
And so is
terrorist
Black
group
Lives Matter.
in Los Angeles. Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist group.
So let me ask.
Black Lives Matter is simply an affirmation to black people that we matter, because we don't see it enough in our community. Nobody tells us, not even our parents sometimes, that we matter. So when we say Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that you don't matter. It's not saying that we matter more than somebody else. It's saying that we matter, and I can tell myself that I matter, just like I can tell myself that I'm beautiful, right? To affirm it to myself.
So
Yeah,
they
but
gotta know about the
The
KKK.
group's
the
been
group,
hijacked.
the group has been the group. I didn't even say has been. It was hijacked from the very beginning. The phrase itself, I think most folks could get behind.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. And, and even when folks go and say all lives matter, most people can even get behind that and say, yeah, all lives do matter. And a lot of black folks could get with Black Lives Matter as a slogan. But when you actually dive into the organization and look at what their values are, how can you stand for that particular organization? The slogan, I get it. It makes you feel good, whatever. If that's what you feel like you need to jump out there and say to make you feel good, whatever. But the organization itself and the foolery that they've stood for, and now that we know that majority of the money that was raised did not actually go to black people,
Well, it's
these
unfortunate.
these black women living in white communities,
It's unfortunate because
they want to take down the nuclear family when we know the biggest issue we have in the black community is lack of coherent, lack of nuclear families,
Mhm.
lack of fathers in the home,
Well,
and
that
these
was
people
because
are
of welfare.
completely advocating against that.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know if that's something that you can stand on. I can't stand on
Well,
that.
that's why I said it's been hijacked. I think initially when it first started, and I'm sure when they were sitting around the round table coming up with this, when after Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice and all this stuff, and the guy in Chicago, Michael, I can't remember his last
It
name,
was St. Louis, Michael Brown,
Michael. Um,
and George Floyd up in
but
Minneapolis.
BLM came out before that, but I'm saying I feel like
Actually, BLM came out. The first time I heard BLM was during the Baltimore riots. Is it D-Ray McKesson? It was during the Baltimore riots. The first time I heard anybody say Black Lives Matter, it was
like
when
Freddie Gray.
Freddie Gray was
Mhm.
killed in the Baltimore riots. That was the first time I heard Black Lives Matter. And I did not know it was an organization. I just thought it was, a slogan that they were saying like, hey, another black man had been killed. Although that's not something that is extremely normal, but it happened. And they were saying that, hey, we need to do something about when situations like this, Black Lives Matter.
Well,
I
yeah,
didn't know it was an organization.
exactly. But I feel like because it seemed, I'll say seemed like rapid succession of things happening to unarmed Black people. It seemed like we were being shown this a lot.
Yeah.
So when it first came out, I think a lot of us who look like me and you were like, you know what, this is a good thing. It's an affirmation to say, you know what, stop killing innocent people in the street. Our
Mhm.
lives do matter. And if it had been about that and doing the right things, I think everybody, like you said, would have been able to get behind that slogan and get behind the organization. But greed, of course, always seeps its way in. And then they realize it's like, wow, we can make a whole lot of money doing this.
Mhm.
And now it's being mishandled. And like you said, people are becoming millionaires and not spending the money where they said they were going to spend it,
Yeah.
living in big ass
Well,
houses. And
yeah. Well, I mean,
I get it.
race hustling is a multi-billion dollar industry.
Divide
And
and conquer.
they're no different than the Al Sharptons out there and everybody else that's
And
been
the
making
Jesse
a whole
Jacksons.
Jesse been making a whole heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, they always pop up
You
whenever
know,
shit goes down. I'm like, did y'all plant this? Did y'all? Because
yep.
they come right there.
They know exactly. Now you got Ben Crump. He's
Oh yeah,
every time he's right there.
yeah.
You know,
An
and that's the
instigator.
thing. And the thing is too, you know, we got the obviously mainstream media,
Mhm.
liberal media
Yeah.
that will push this narrative. And then if you actually go and do the research, you'll realize yourself that it's completely false. You know, come on, man. How many
Yeah,
times have you been stopped by the cops and got your ticket or warning and been on your way with no
I
issue?
have a couple times, and my thing is, people are like, I think people get upset when they say just comply, but there's a whole lot, and I know this is going to probably irritate some people, but when they ask about what happened before, there are things that happened before. I have been pulled over more than once. I was pulled over in my military uniform, coming from Walter Reed, got a ticket. I just took the ticket and I went to court and fought it because, I was at the point of no return going across a red light. But I didn't get irate. I didn't jump out of my car. I didn't cuss the police
Yeah.
officer out. One time I was asked why I was speeding. I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm late for work. I was in my nursing uniform. He let me go
Mm-hmm.
because I was honest. I wasn't irate,
Yeah.
belligerent. Like, why pull me over? So I feel like a lot of times, honey is better,
Oh, I agree 100%.
than you coming out with some venom and thinking you're just going to walk away unscathed. Not saying that it's right to do it. I'm talking about a ticket, not physical harm.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
agree.
getting a ticket. Yeah.
I agree.
KK performing. You wouldn't support that.
Okay, first of all, let me get this straight. So you said the Black Panthers had people scared in Chicago, right? They had
You guys are not
people
answering my
scared to
question.
sell drugs in the
Would you
neighborhood. They
say-
had
answered your
people
question, sir.
scared to
No, I would
prostitute
not be on
women
board with
in the
that.
hood. The Black Panthers they started the free meal program. They started WIC
WIC,
program,
yes.
which the government has
Black
started to take over
started-
because they fed
Yes.
communities, right? And so when you have the KKK who started things like Halloween where they dress up in masks and go firebomb houses, black houses where they hang people from
Black
trees,
Wall Street.
have parties with black people hanging from trees like strange fruit, if you've ever touched up on your black history. But you have these KKK terrorist organization groups that have tormented black people for years, African people for years, but they are not labeled as a terrorist group. So then you have a
So-
black group emerging from
so
the
is that a
community
no?
called Black Lives Matter,
Is that a
and now
no?
we have to be a terrorist group, and we're here to rebuild the community, to hit the capitalist white supremacist society right in its face and stop it and say, hey, this is not right.
Okay, so let me go back to the question. Is that a no for the KKK performing this year?
Only if you're on the cross.
He
I'm
just
sorry.
Only if
Yeah, to get an
he's
answer.
consistent. I got to give him that.
No, he's definitely consistent.
Yeah. One thing I will say, and I really wish a lot more young black people would not get so emotional
Mhm.
about like be able to articulate your point without getting so emotional, because these things, and again, I'm probably going to get murdered in the comments. These things didn't happen directly to him or her.
Yeah. I mean, they live in one of the most liberal states in the country, California. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, the fear, in my opinion, it's not white people out there in some of these neighborhoods in LA. It's other black folks that you should be probably more deathly afraid of, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's sad to say, but true. Yeah. Sad but true. But yeah, I feel like they're reliving something in their mind that they never went through because of what they've researched, what they've seen, what they've been told. And
but
then
never actually lived that life or experienced it. And I mean, if you live, I grew up in the South, deep South, Georgia, Tennessee. I come from these places. You know, we learned about, the KKK started in Pulaski, Tennessee. We learned about all these things. I never ran across one of them. I just didn't. Never ran across one of them. So
I can always say just because it didn't, and I'm not,
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying that it's not something that you're going to see. And if you're in California, the likelihood of you running across, someone.
but the KKK are not running around wearing hoods out in the public anymore.
No,
And that's what
they're
a lot
not.
of people say now. There's lots of them in corporate America there's lots of them in banking who might secretly belong to the organization,
Highly
and
probable.
will help to pass policies that still discriminate against people that look like us, i.e. Navy Federal Credit Union. We just found out they were having issues with loans, fair loans, to black people who have the credit, who have the financial backing, they were still being denied loans. So, not saying that they necessarily belong to the KKK, but I'm saying that there's still that kind of mentality that's still going on behind the scenes, and it's just not in your face. They don't have to wear the hood, but they have the mentality. It's
Yeah,
the
definitely.
ideology.
I can
That's
understand.
the,
All
yeah.
right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop y'all at 9:47.
Hey, man.
We can continue at another time. Y'all are amazing. I'm
Wow. So I know that was probably a lot to take in. I know it was a pretty long video, but I'm really hoping that you guys stuck it out until the end and you enjoyed that content. If you enjoyed what you just saw, what you just heard, and you have a lot to say, please put it in the comments. We would love for you to let us know if you want to see more reactions like that between us or just on our own channel. Go ahead, and I said before in the intro, give Wise Reacts a thumbs up, give him a subscribe, do the same for this one, and please share this video. We're both new at this. We're trying to grow our channel. We really appreciate you guys just being here with us, and it's all thanks to you that our channel is growing. So we really appreciate it. It is not forgotten. We're not overlooking any of that. So we really appreciate it. And wow, that was a lot. So I enjoyed it. I didn't even realize who this person was, like I said, until I finished watching this and did this reaction. I realized who he was, and I'm intrigued. I would like to see more. He's provocative, and I kind of like that because he goes against the grain. He doesn't just stick to the status quo, and he does things his own way, and I like that. I don't like anyone that's going to be sheep. So I appreciate him saying what he said. He's funny. Uh, he's straight to the point, and I just appreciated it. So give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. Thank you guys. Peace out. This is Trisha again with that. More Than Words. Take care.